Oh, you got the gift?
I'm gonna pull it up.
All right, just like that.
Yeah.
Hold on, babe. Hold on. Your hair is weird. You don't like it?
No, I realize I can't see because I don't have my glasses on.
Oh.
So, I guess that we like to stop 5 seconds after. Let's just. Hi, this is Laksh.
Hi, I'm Maggie.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're here to talk about how your 3 core wounds are actually a gift.
Congrats.
There's 3 main core wounds that people can have, 3 traumas at childhood: self-worth, trust, or abandonment. And we want to reframe how we look at it. Instead of thinking of it as a burden, as something horrible that happened to us, it's actually a gift. Today we're going to talk about the traumas and how to actually perceive it as a gift. And the first one we'll get started with is self-worth. So I'm a victim of self-worth myself, which, by the way, never say that. You're not a victim of anything, right? We want to throw out that victim mentality. I'm not a victim of anything of self-worth. I'm actually kind of grateful.
You're gifted for it, right?
I'm gifted. I'm blessed. That's the best word for it. When I was young, my parents are awesome. They love me. They took care of me. They're great. But what they did was they made everything reward or punishment, right? If you get A's, reward. If you get B's or C's, punishment. And my mind would take that almost as a frame of self-worth. That if I get an A, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of recognition. If I get a B or C, not so much. If I do well in sports, if I score a goal, I'm worthy of their love, respect. I'm worthy of getting new material things even. If I don't, then not so much. Now carrying that into my adult life, if I do well in my work, in my personal life, I feel good about who I am as a person. If I don't, then I don't feel good about myself as a person. And that's not the right frame to go with, because what you're doing in that circumstance is you're letting your situation, your outside, your external, define how you feel internally. And that's actually the opposite of what we want to do. We want to define my external from my internal. If I feel good, if I know I'm a great person, regardless of my exterior, my life will transform in the way my inside is, if that makes sense. Maggie says this all the time. It's like your biggest saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Your inner is a reflection of your outer.
It
really,
sure. Yeah, it really is.
And one way to, I guess you can say, believe that, because a lot of people doubt that. Like, that doesn't even make sense. They feel like it's very esoteric, too spiritual talking. But logically, we are drawn to the people and the places and the things that will teach us the lesson. So the reason you end up with someone with the same person with a different face, or someone like your father or your mother that this trauma came from, is because you still haven't learned that, look, I'm valuable, right? Regardless of the results. So that's like a self-worth problem. For me, it was trust, right? Yeah. So for trust, like, I had to learn in relationships, I had to trust myself in order to stop getting the same person that I couldn't trust, different face, right? So I couldn't trust all these people because my core wound is trust, and it had to be reflected back to me. So it sounds esoteric, but it's just not. It's simply reality. Your reality are your beliefs and your core wounds reflected back. That's the only way to learn. How else can you see something if it's not being shown to you, right? Like, how else would you put it?
I mean, yeah, you have to visually or feel it. The only way we really get something is if we feel it.
Mm-hmm. Feeling is healing.
If you feel like you can't trust anybody, that's really, you've learned that it was projection you did in the moment, that you're like, wait, I can't kind of trust myself in a way.
And it's self-sabotage, right? So, like, if I can't trust my own self, I am, even if I got the most trustworthy person on the planet, if I can't trust myself, you can't trust anyone else, right? There you go, another example. Inner is a reflection of your outer. Yeah. Once again, you can have someone who is perfect, and if you can't trust yourself, you're not going to trust their judgment. You can't even trust your own, right? Yeah. So,
and the idea behind this video is we don't want to be victims of anything. It would be very easy for Maggie to say, oh, I grew up this way. My parents were like this. Mm-hmm. This is not my fault. I'm just a victim. It's not my fault. And I could be saying the same thing. But we're here to make our lives better, improve them in every single way. So that's why it's so important to know your trauma.
Yeah, it's truly a gift. So the way I look at my trauma, and once again, one of the three, his was self-worth, mine's trust, and last but not least, we'll go over abandonment at the end. But in my childhood, you know, my parents had an on-again, off-again relationship, so I didn't know if, you know, they were going to get a divorce. Like, literally, my parents have been married to each other 3 times, okay? No one else, just them 3 times. So it was in and out. I couldn't trust if my life was going to be stable, right, from one moment to the next. I couldn't trust my parents and how they treated each other. It was just, you know, a little bit of chaos, which I take that as such a blessing, because I had to become so mature at such a young age, and really, in the same time, didn't have time for myself, but it made me so aware of others, and now that's a gift, right? So I am very intuitive, I'm very empathic, and I'm very blessed to have that, and that's simply because of the things that I went through. I had to kind of learn how people were going to come and go. I had to learn if people were going to be trustworthy, right? All these things, but I really did take it as a gift from day one. Now, what I didn't do was basically learn that, wait a minute, this comes from within. I have to trust myself first, right? Trust myself to pick the right partner. Yeah. Trust myself to literally just trust the process, go with the flow. Realize that God and the universe will send me exactly what I need to learn, exactly what I need to go through, and as I deserve the best, as all of you deserve the best, we all do, that trust that God and the universe will absolutely fulfill that for me. And they will. It's just I have to let go of not trusting it, because if I don't, I will self-sabotage it. I 100% will. I've seen it. He's seen it. We've all seen it, okay, if you know me. But you can also see it in yourself if this is one of your core wounds. You are wondering why this person isn't doing X, Y, and Z for you, or, you know, if this person is talking to someone in the corner, why are they talking to that person? Like, you're always on edge, right? And once you trust and let go of like worrying about everyone else and just really sit back and go, you know what, no matter what anyone does to me, I have my own back, right? Like, I am worthy of love from myself and others, and if they don't reflect that back to me, then they're not worthy of my love, or, which, going back to love is unconditional, but they're not worthy to be in my frame or in my environment if they're treating me under my value. But the point of this is simply just realizing that you're valuable, your trauma has made you even more valuable, and not being a victim of it. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that leads us to our third one, abandonment.
Yes, abandonment.
The fun one.
Yeah, so if you have ever been abandoned, especially as a child, right? And by the way, people go, well, I've had all 3. Okay, so you can have all 3. All 3 have happened to me. But, and by the way, happened to me is the wrong phrase. They happened for me. Nice. They're a gift. They happened for me. But the point of this, once again, is abandonment wound is simply when someone typically leaves, and it's usually childhood, a parent, a sibling, whatever happens, death can even cause this, right? But anyway, you don't trust the fact, it is also, see how I'm also projecting my own trauma onto this, but you simply feel like everyone's gonna leave you, that you can't trust if they're gonna stay, right? Like, and you're once again using this trauma for negativity. And when you feel like that, you are also gonna choose people who will do that to you. And realizing that when they do leave, it will teach you, and the reason that they have to leave is because it teaches you, it doesn't matter if they come or go. You have you. You are worthy of not being left, and even if someone does leave you, it has nothing to do with you. Stand in your own power, know your own worth, and until you realize that, you will get people that reflects that back to you. People will leave your life until you realize, oh wow, wait a minute, my dad or mom left when I was 5 years old, and I literally have been divorced twice, or I simply have chosen partners my whole life that end up rejecting me in some form, right? And like, they leave, and then you're left alone. That's okay if you're left alone. Once you realize that it's okay to be abandoned, like, that's their journey, that's their process, not yours. and you stand in your worth, you know, well, for one, they usually come back after that, but for two, once you're in that energy, you will attract people who want to stay. Why? Because they now see your value because you know your own value.
True. And I think that kind of goes for all three. You know, when we talk about how to surpass our traumas, it really is a lot of self-affirmation talk. But at the end of the day, you know, if you really love yourself, these things don't get in the way. If
Very
you know,
true.
if I love myself, my results don't really matter, do they? You know, if someone betrays me, if I love myself, does it really matter? If someone leaves me behind,
Got your back. You got your own back.
You
If
do.
someone leaves you behind,
yeah, if someone leaves you behind, but I have myself, I love myself, I'm really okay.
you can fill up your own cup.
So it's important to be aware of the trap that you have in your life. We all have different traps, but be aware of it and know that the bridge to get across that trap is your self-love. I like that was good. Use that one
is
again.
good. And that's simply self-sabotage,
Yeah.
which look back at that video if you haven't yet, because self-sabotage is simply what you're doing when you're trapping yourself into, the trap is self-sabotage. By us not trusting, by us not knowing our worth, by us feeling abandoned, we are our own self-sabotage at that point. Once you're aware of it and you heal from it and you realize that that trauma is a gift and a blessing and not a curse, that's when this all will change for you. You will stop attracting people that you can't trust. You will know your worth and you will not be rejected or abandoned. It's very simple. Like just awareness is the first step, always.
It is. And I think to one of the points Maggie was saying earlier, you were saying that, you know, people can have multiple, but this is something that Maggie taught me. It's typically the trauma that really sticks with you is the one that happens first in your life, right?
It can be like 2. Like literally, let's say something happened at 2. Consciously, you might not be aware, but your subconscious is always aware. So like, let's say the first thing that happened was, you know, let's say a parent cheated. And then that parent left. So yes, it's boom, boom, right? You go, like the person cheated and then they have a divorce, right? This is a very simple, and it happens to a lot of people, and especially America, divorce rate's high. Point of this is that the reason that you have both now, but it started with the trust. So typically that is what's going to hit you at your core, because it's traumatic. It's the first thing that happened. You're not used to these things, right? And then the reaction of that, the symptom of that was then the abandonment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, see, Batman should have gotten over his childhood wound. He'd have been happier.
Yeah, he would have. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. I think that's all we have for today.
It is. If you can, like, subscribe, and share. We greatly appreciate it. Comment down below if you're feeling vulnerable enough to tell us your main core trauma. We would love to hear it, and we will be more than happy to also, you know, communicate with you in the comments below about ours. And that way, you know, sharing, learning, and growing with each other, right? So, yes, if you don't mind liking, we greatly appreciate it. So we will see you next week.
We'll see you next time,
Peace,
guys.
love.